On today's episode of Phinside The NFL, Mike McDaniel gives some updates, and Tua seems on track to be back for Week 8 against the Cardinals. Can the Miami Dolphins get to 500 by that time? Also, should Jaylen Wright be RB1? We will talk about that and much more, including we will go over the PFF grades, the next-gen stats, the snap counts, as we recap and review the Miami Dolphins' Week 5 victory in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Do me the favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jaylen has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's going over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one on this episode powered by BetUS. Man, the Dolphins letting us celebrate Victory Monday for the first time in a few weeks, and boy, it feels good. It feels good to be back in the win column, especially when you go into a division rival's house and you beat them. As ugly as it was, I will take it because beggars cannot be choosers right now. I don't know what else to say. And I talked about it on yesterday's post-game show, and I'll talk about it again. One thing we also were begging to see, and we did see a little bit, some growth, some ability to adapt and adjust from Mike McDaniel. We saw it yesterday with the way he stuck with the run. You know, he did a damn good job of locking in and sticking with the run and what it does best for him. And the fact of the matter is, you look at it, I mean, there was at one point where we had 25 dropbacks to about 21 carries. And you can go back and watch the live stream. And I said, I want that flipped. I literally said, that needs to be flipped. And sure enough, what's very interesting is it did kind of flip, because in the second half, you only dropped Huntley back about 11 times. Well, you ran it about another 23. So, you know, great to see McDaniel stick to the run game and do something we've been screaming at him to do for a long time. Let these running backs carry the workload. Even when Tua comes back, I think right now you've got the blueprint, you know, and I always go back to Tua, right? And his ability to play off of the run game. And you don't got to look further than the college tape. And I've anyone who's watched me since 2019, there's always one game I say that encompasses of how you're supposed to use Tua Tagovailoa at the NFL level. I know I've got a lot of people who have been watching me for years. If you're in the chat right now, let me know. What game do I always say encompasses how you should use Tua at the NFL level, and what perfectly describes his basically best usage? There's one game I always point out. I want to see how many people have been paying attention in the chat right now. And it's a college game. It's Alabama. It's from Alabama. All right? There's one game I always say, this is the game you go back and this tells you how to properly use Tua. Because I see everyone saying Arizona in the chat. No, that's not what I'm not. Think back to Alabama. There's one game I always say where this is how you are supposed to use Tua Tagovailoa. This is the blueprint to success with Tua Tagovailoa. Nate, Nate is the first one. The LSU game. LSU. And this is why, if you remember, why do I say that? In the first half of that LSU game, what happened? Saban was constantly dropping him back, asking him to make plays with his legs, just putting the weight of the shoulders and the offense on Tua's shoulder, right? What happened? You had an early turnover from Tua Tagovailoa. He was in it, but they looked off. What happens in the second half? What happens in the second half? They start leaning on Najee. And what did Tua do? Tua went off, right? Tua actually should have won that game if Jerry Jeudy didn't drop that wide open pass up the middle of the field into the end zone. They actually should have beat LSU. Tua made the throw, but Jerry Jeudy dropped the football. But you look at that LSU game, and it perfectly encompasses how you were supposed to use and build an offense around Tua. Tua's never been the guy where just throw now you can in final moments, I'm sure, but you can't from start to finish. He was never that guy of just put everything on his back, let it just roll, give him nothing. He was never Mahomes. Okay? But then you look at that second half, and it was, if you run the football and you run the football well, that's where Tua's going to eat you off the play action. Whenever you decide to send extra rushers, it's going to open up the middle of the field, and that's when Tua is going to be at his best. And that's what's so frustrating about what Mike McDaniel's done in Miami. You've built this explosive offense 110%. You've given him weapons 110%. But by not utilizing the run game, considering you're a run game coordinator in San Fran, by not utilizing the run game properly, you haven't helped out the pass game. And that is the final key to unlocking the next level to this passing game, is having an efficient rushing attack. Listen, games are won and lost in the trenches, right? And you say that offensively and defensively. Where you can really set a tone in the trenches on the offensive line is in the run game. You look at that fourth quarter touchdown drive, Ingold, beast. Eichenberg having good reps. They were setting the tone in the trenches. We ran it down their throat, and we scored with Ingold. I'm going to keep saying it. You're going to hear. You heard it in the post-game show. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw it on my post. That is going to be the blueprint. That drive is the blueprint, especially with Tua out. Ride the running back room. Do what some of these blockers do best in the run game, and lean on the run and mix in the passing when you need to. We don't need to be dropping back these guys 40, 45 times with the rushers you have in that building. And yeah, Raheem Mostert returning helps a little bit, because now you got three legitimate guys. When Achane comes back from his concussion, now you got three legitimate guys. But I think, and this goes back to Jaylen Wright, I do think Jaylen Wright should be running back one. I think he's your best downhill runner. I think he's your best bell cow back. And I think what you need to do is you need to find that proper balance between Wright, Achane, and Mostert. And what do I mean by that? I think Wright should be getting 15 to 18 carries a game. Whichever is the hot hand between Mostert and Achane, you give them 10, 12. And then the other guy gets 6. And you keep rotating like that with the back two of whoever's the hot hand that you're feeling with it. But you can also manufacture touches for Mostert and Achane in the passing game, Achane especially. I think this is the way to roll. Especially when we get into the December and January months. Listen. You gotta ride what you got in Wright right now. He's the best bell cow back we've had in the building since J.J. Now, J.J. had the unicorn line, and God bless Jaylen Wright. If he had the unicorn line, he'd probably win Rookie of the Year or be in the running for it because Jaden Daniels is going to run away for it. But in the AFC side, he'd be in the running for it if you gave him the unicorn line and you actually gave him the opportunities. But I said it on the postgame show yesterday. It's time to take the training wheels off, Mike. It is time to take the training wheels off. Let Jaylen Wright roll. Seriously. I mean, the whole game we were dominating time of possession. Between Achane, my keys to victory, I said, because I didn't know Raheem would be back on Friday, right? So I said Achane and Wright need 35 to 40 touches. See, I use the word touches because that just doesn't mean run the football. You catch the football too. Wright, Mostert, and Achane combined for 38. And Achane got hurt. It could have been even more. They could have combined for like over 42 probably. Because he would have got some more targets his way, would have Achane. But this is what I'm sitting here saying, man. You've got a legitimate three-headed monster. Ride it. Right, even when Tua comes back, ride it. Ride it. This is your way, Mike McDaniel, where you can get your explosive plays in the passing game back when Tua returns, is if you run the football properly and you find that balance. You're going to pull defenders up. Tua will, because of Tua's quick release, with the right play call, you can kill teams that try to load the box off the threat of a right run. Play action can be a whole different story now. So, I think Jaylen Wright needs to be running back one. I really do. And shout out to his father, Curtis. All right. Great dude. Was speaking to him a little bit. I want him to know, because he said he watches the show. He follows what I do, what I say. So, I told him, like I tell all you, Jaylen Wright was not only a man crush in this draft of mine, but he has turned out to be a kid that it looks like the game is slowing down for him already. The way he's cutting, his visions, the patience he shows to either wait for his lane to open up or the ability to see the lanes before they even open up. He's doing fantastic stuff. So I think right now you got to ride the hot hand. And the hot hand right now looks to be Jaylen Wright in that running back room. And I know people are probably sick and tired of hearing about it, but the Buffalo Bills need to be investigated over Josh Allen. I don't even know what else to say to you right now. This is absolutely nonsense. You got Bills fans even making videos thinking that he's been concussed twice in the past 2 weeks. We all know what's up. We all know what's up. You can't lie to us. All right? So, and, listen, here's some takeaways too. And, I know Robert you mentioned Jonnu and Waddle. I didn't have these in my takeaways, but Waddle needs to stop jumping for the football when he doesn't have to, man. Remember Preston Williams used to do that too? He used to drive me mad. Why are you jumping for a ball you don't need to jump for? But here's my basic takeaways from the Miami Dolphins 15-10 win over the Patriots in Week 5. We've wanted to see growth and adjustments from McDaniel as a game planner and play caller. Shout out to him for finally showing it. Now will he continue to keep it up? Huntley, he looked far more comfortable running the offense this week than last week, and I'm intrigued to see what he does and what he looks like with 2 weeks to prepare for the Indianapolis Colts and to get more acclimated to this offense. Jaylen Wright, like I just finished saying, he's the best bell cow option for this team, and Mike needs to take those training wheels off and let that kid roll. Mostert looked really good in his return, but he and Achane need to be in that complementary role to Wright right now. Alec Ingold started off the season with some struggles, but man, he was solid yesterday. Oh boy. Like I just finished saying, Waddle needs to stop jumping for throws he doesn't need to. I don't know what he's saying. Nice to see him and Tyreek involved again, that's for sure. Jonnu Smith was really good in week 5, and he should continue to be a central piece in this offense, I think. Get Julian Hill off my TV screen. He's been so detrimental to this offense, whether it's a bad penalty or whipped assignment block this season. I mean, I can't sit here and defend Julian Hill to any single one of you. Up and down performance from the offensive. Like, I was so pissed when he negated. If he didn't, look at this. If he didn't negate that Jaylen Wright run, Jaylen Wright breaks for over 100 yards yesterday. Just saying. Offensive line was up and down. Jackson had that sack allowed, and he had that penalty to negate the field goal that led to that botched field goal attempt. If Liam didn't have the strong drive on that Ingold touchdown, I'd say he was also awful yesterday. Brewer had some reps where he struggled, and he's going to want him back too. Once Anthony Weaver gets, once he does, Anthony Weaver gets those run leaks plugged defensively, this unit is going to get even better. But overall, I'm happy with what he's shown as a DC over 5 weeks. I thought Sealer and Calais Campbell were fantastic. Shout out to Al for 3 yards per carry. He said Christian Wilkins is a Zach Sealer merchant. Chop, I think he's coming around. Second most pressures defensively for Miami, and that big pressure early on to force an incompletion on third down was huge. Grier may have let AVG walk for Barrett, which was a bad move, but thank God he brought Ogba back, who has been fantastic. Jordan Brooks continues to be Miami's best linebacker. Coe, who had been up and down this year, tackling his poor times yesterday, but hey, at least we actually saw him turn his head back to make a play on the football in coverage and didn't draw another pass interference. Good God. And I think Marcus May needs to be ahead of Poyer permanently on the depth chart. Poyer's look slow. Poyer's not been good. Depth at safety will be tested. Holland has had some real tough patches of play this season, but now with the hand injury, it will be interesting to see if they add another body or lean into Elijah Campbell and elevate Colbert. And I thought special teams was an absolute disaster. It amazes me that every year Danny Crossman continues to have a job. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, it's not that great. So I don't know how Danny Crossman still has a job. This is ridiculous. Someone explain this one to me. And also I wanted to say Chop Robinson had a really good game yesterday. I thought, I've been a Chop Robinson supporter, so this is what I'm going to do. We're going to wait for Chop Robinson's first sack. When Chop Robinson gets his first sack, I want you to be live with me, live reaction. Come join me for the live reaction games. When Chop Robinson gets his first sack, I am going to, as you guys can see, I got my 2 RPA over here. I got my Dan Marino downtown over here. I'm a card collector. I just pulled this. I opened up a box of 2024 Luminance not too long ago, and last week, in fact, and I pulled a Chop Robinson. Let's see if you can get the focus in there. I don't know. But I pulled this Chop Robinson Dolphins. He's still in the Penn State uni. But I pulled this Chop Robinson rookie card. I want to give that away when he gets his first sack. And the reason why I'm going to give that away is because your boy just got this beauty. This Chop Nouvelle Riche out of 89. 2-color. Look at that patch. 2-colored patch. I just got that in the mail. So I'm going to give this away, this Chop Robinson auto, when Chop gets his first sack, and I'll do that during the live stream. So you got to be with me during the live stream, the live reaction stream, and I'm going to give away this Chop Robinson auto to one person, all right? Because I feel like it's coming. He's getting better. He's getting better. He's getting better. So he's getting better. I like what I'm seeing from Chop. 5 pressures, second most pressures, according to Next Gen Stats. So yeah, shout out to Chop, man. All right, like I said earlier in this video, though, this video right here, it is sponsored by BetUS. Right now, they got the Dolphins at the third best odds to win the division of plus 700. Patriots at a lowly plus 6,500. Bills are the clear and away favorites, but I'm telling you, if they investigate Josh Allen and have to pull him, I don't know. Go over to betus.com right now. Use promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. Get a 150% deposit match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 with BetUS. I mean, hey, it's a beautiful time on Victory Monday to be a Dolphin fan, but it's an even better time to go put some money down on Monday Night Football and go make some money to cap off your Week 5 weekend, all right? So just remember, please gamble responsibly, and shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the channel. All right. Let's keep it rolling here. We ain't done, not in by a long shot. So, in case you didn't see last night, it became basically official. Ian Rappaport tweeted out that Jevon Holland, he has officially suffered a broken bone in his hand during the team's win over the Patriots. One of the top young defenders in the NFL, Holland is expected to miss time. So there you go. Holland, it was, we read what the reports were stating yesterday, and it seemed like Jevon Holland was going to be missing time based on the fact that Omar Kelly was hearing Jevon and players talk about potential surgery. Now, he's got 2 weeks, basically. He's got 2 weeks to at least get the surgery done and start the recovery process. So, I think they got to add a safety. I think they legitimately have to add a safety. Are you really going to roll with Marcus May, Elijah Campbell, and Jordan Colbert right now as your 3 guys? Like, is that really the smart move right now? That feels like you're playing with fire there a little bit. That feels like, but I mean, really, what's out there right now? Micah Hyde's old. I mean, we've seen what Poyer's given us, and Micah Hyde's old right now. Like, who's out there right now? Like Keanu Neal? Like, what are the real options out there right now? Keanu Neal's out there. Adrian Amos. I think Tracy Walker's still out there. And Tracy Walker is a good safety, but he can never stay healthy. That's the problem with Tracy Walker. He can't stay healthy. So, and I know he's a free agent right now. He's still young. He's 29. Problem with him is, though, like I said, he can't stay healthy. Never could. So, and in terms of Jevon Holland and his and the money he's asking for, good luck to you, sir. I mean, he's already been a little up and down already this season, but now with the injury happening, I don't know if I don't know if he's going to be in a position to ask to reset this market. That's for sure. It doesn't seem like that is going to be the case by any stretch of the imagination. So, continuing on here, let's get into Tua, because Mike McDaniel provided some updates today, and it seems like Tua Tagovailoa is on track to return in Week 8. So, quarterback 1 could be back by Week 8, and man, the Colts are going to be a tough one because Joe Flacco is putting up some serious yardage right now. So, I mean, and he's putting up points. So, but this is what went down today. McDaniel, he had a presser. He offered updates on Tagovailoa, Holland, Achane, special teams issues. So, Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa remains on track to return from a concussion, and Tyler Huntley will remain the Dolphins' starting quarterback in the interim. Those were major takeaways from Mike McDaniel's press briefing. ESPN has reported that Tagovailoa has no symptoms, and there's a good possibility that he will play in his first game that he's eligible to return October 27th against Arizona. McDaniel has declined to give a timetable, partly because Tagovailoa remains in concussion protocol. But asked if any medical expert has said Tagovailoa needs to considerably more time on the sideline after he's eligible to come off IR and clears concussion protocol, McDaniel said, quote, nothing negative so far, but we're still in the process. McDaniel said Tagovailoa has a, quote, expert consultation, quote, scheduled this week, and the final stages of protocol won't be achieved until we bring him back off IR. Everything is so far so good. Asked if Huntley will remain the starting quarterback in the interim or whether he will compete with Skylar Thompson, McDaniel said, I feel pretty good about how fast Huntley has developed, and I would forecast continuing that developmental process. Meanwhile, running back Devon Achane enters the bye week in concussion protocol. Regarding the situation at safety, Javon Holland is expected to miss time with a broken bone in his hand, but McDaniel was non-committal about the timetable. Holland could be back very soon if he plays with a cast on his hand. McDaniel said he's open to that with a player of his skill set. Whether a player can be effective wearing a cast all depends on the player, McDaniel said. If you offer what Javon offers, there's value playing with a cast, even if you are just a pass breakup at the point of attack. He's so instrumental in the way we use him. McDaniel sounded optimistic that safety Jordan Poyer, who missed Sunday's game with a shin injury, will return after the bye. McDaniel said he feels good where Poyer is at today and feels good about the time we have before Miami plays October 20th at Indianapolis. McDaniel also addressed other issues. On Sunday's 15-10 win in New England, McDaniel said, we felt like we could have had a much cleaner game. The run game took a step in the right direction. In this league, you have to run it when you know they're going to if you want success in tight games. It's easy for me to call 10 runs in a row when players give me reason to. We went into the game knowing non-negotiably we needed to win. McDaniel said fullback Alec Ingold's play was phenomenal on Sunday and that it was fitting he scored the game-winning touchdown. McDaniel wasn't happy with special teams mistakes, but also said there were some good plays on special teams. Quote, it wasn't all that bad, he said. However, the mistakes that did occur were unusual, and we were trying to get to the bottom of why they occurred and make sure they don't happen again. Typically, with mistakes like that, you end up losing the game. The botched snap on the field goal can't be errant. We can't have blocked punts. I mean, before we get into Tua here, you talked yesterday in your post-game presser, you're looking for common denominators. I've already given you the answer to that question or that search, Mike. The common denominator is Danny Crossman, sir. I mean, the run game finally smacked you in the head and showed you need to roll with it. I mean, what's going to smack you in the head for you to realize that Danny Crossman ain't that guy? Would any of us be worried about that guy getting fired in the middle of the season and there even being a hiccup? No, we wouldn't. I mean, we got Berrios out here, fair catching footballs with 10 to 15 yards of space around him. We got a botched snap, albeit Austin Jackson caused that because you did hit the field goal before that from 46. But then you got a botched snap that leads to no points. You got a field goal that doesn't go your way as well by hitting the uprights. Now, the other 3 points left on the field was all in the offense when we had that bad exchange between Brewer and Huntley that, sent Huntley back and scrambling to recover the fumble. But now with Tua, it seems like Tua is on pace to be back practicing in 2 weeks, and it sounds like that practice window is going to open up either before the Colts game or whatever, and he's going to be coming out for that Arizona game. That's where it seems we're at right now. McDaniel said he was in high spirits today. And here's the key thing, right? This is what you got to remember when you think about this, ladies and gentlemen. All right? This is the big one right here, all right? the time. You know, we've read the articles. We've looked over what concussion experts have said, right? So there's been no issues. There's been no setbacks, but here's the key thing. Remember, we went over that study that showed that concussed brains return to normal between 15 to 30 days after the concussion. Well, right now, when you do the math, ladies and gentlemen, here's the issue. Tua had the concussion 25 days ago. So if brains and your baseline return to normal between 15 to 30 days, he's only 5 days away from that, and he's going to be even further along. Because, I mean, remember, right? If the Arizona Cardinals and Dolphins game, that isn't for another 20 days. So if you do the math, he's actually going to have about 45 days. They're going to give him 45 days to get right, when it says it usually takes about 15 to 30. So, right? You can't say that they've been negligent. Now, like I reported, there's certain people in the building who don't trust that Tua's body's going to hold up. And I mean, I'll still say this. Let's say Tua plays the season out, stays healthy. I'm still drafting a quarterback. I'm still having that contingency plan in place. Because if he goes down next year, we can't be relying on what we have right now. You know, now, hey, you could continue to develop Huntley through the rest of this year and bring him back and be the backup. Sure, but I'd still draft a quarterback because we would still need, because if this guy, you know, if Tua suffers another concussion, I think we can pretty much all agree the Dolphins will move off of him if they're not already deciding to when they have that little out in March. So I still think, and I'm telling you, man, I'm making believers out of, so the more I watch, you know, this weekend, talking about back, you know, drafting a quarterback. This weekend's gonna be a big weekend. Number 9, Ole Miss, against number 13 LSU. My two guys are facing off. Jackson Dart and Garrett Nussmeier are facing off this weekend, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. I'm gonna be watching that game because, you know, I've sent some all 22 clips to EM, Dolphin fan. He is loving Nussmeier right now. I, you know, put Martin on to Nussmeier. You know, Jackson Dart struggled this past weekend. Jaylen Milroe struggled this past weekend as well. But Jackson Dart struggled this weekend. But, you know, Garrett Nussmeier, Cam Ward, Garrett Nussmeier, and Shedeur Sanders, when you're talking about talent right now, are my number 3 guys. They're my top 3 guys. You know, but I'm telling you right now, Garrett Nussmeier, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The throws he can make, man, you watch his footwork. His dad was drafted into the NFL, the same draft as Ray Lewis, right? So, you know, and then he became a coach. So you got a former NFL quarterback, that's his coach. Now, everyone knows when I look at my interior linemen, I love wrestlers. I love wrestlers. When we're talking about quarterbacks, when you got a lineage, but, you know, it's not like, you know, and Arch is good, and I think Arch is going to be great, but Peyton, Eli, and Archie aren't coaches, they're former players. You know, when you look at Garrett Nussmeier's father, former player turned into a coach, and you see it. You know, when you look at the footwork, he can make every throw on every level. I mean, you see the talent oozing, and, you know, Garrett Nussmeier, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, and Carson Beck, those are basically my 5 guys, right? My top 5 guys right now. So, but you look at Garrett Nussmeier, oh boy, get that guy in here. Get that guy in here and develop him behind Tua. Oof. I'm telling you right now. So, but Tua looks like he's going to be back for the Arizona Cardinals game. And these next 2 games are huge. This team needs to continue to find ways to win. And right now, it seems like Tyler Huntley, he gives you those best options. Tyler Huntley, I got to give him credit, man. He looked far more comfortable this week. What if he can just level out those accuracy issues? He was making some plays on the run. And I know people were saying, well, Johnny should have made that catch. Those throws were a little high. Those throws were a little high. Those throws were a little high and he needs to bring them down. I don't think this is true, TE. I think they got to win playoff games. Brother, Dart struggled this past weekend. That second half, like he missed a few vertical shots in the first half, but that second half, man, he had, he missed throws to the back of the end zone. He should have had about 3 touchdowns, but he missed some throws. I mean, that second half, Dart struggled. But I think Grier needs to win a playoff game to keep his job. I honestly think Grier needs to win a playoff game. I think getting to the playoffs will definitely save, will definitely keep McDaniel in good graces. I think McDaniel's safe right now anyways. I've told you, what I think happens is they fire Grier and they bring in a new GM and they say, hey, we're bringing you in here, but we want you to keep Mike McDaniel. That's what I've already told y'all. That's what I think happens. And I don't see that changing. I think Grier's the one that's in trouble if they don't go on a little bit of a run. And I think a new GM is going to come in and they're going to draft a quarterback in the first or second round. Listen, that's exactly what I'm saying, Regil. Maybe, Dart, 2 weeks ago, Dart was the second betting favorite in Heisman odds. If he falls to the second round, I'll take that all day, baby. All day. So, but shout out to Cam Ward. Cam Ward this past weekend, man, he solidified himself. I mean, the moxie he showed to come back, the poise, some of the throws he was making, Cam is damn good. Cam Ward is damn good. So, anyways, Hurricane fans got a good one there. Now you guys, what was his name? What was that? What was that? Now you guys don't have to keep convincing yourself that Tyler Van Dyke is any good, right? Now you guys don't have to keep trying to convince us in the world that Tyler Van Dyke is that guy. Now you actually got that guy in Cam Ward. So shout out to Hurricanes fans. And shout out to everyone in Fort Myers and everyone in South Florida right now. That's, be safe with Milton rolling through. All right? Be safe. All right? Reason, if you're able to be the owner for 24 hours, what's the moves you are making? Depends on what 24 hours. Is that 24 hours on the first day of the draft? Because if it's on the first day of the draft, we get in a quarterback, depending on where we fall. If it's right now, there's only so much you can do. Like, we all want an upgrade on offensive line. No team right now is trading an offensive lineman. You got to wait probably till around the trade deadline for what teams are sellers and what teams are buyers. You can't, I think right now I'd go out and I'd try to find the best safety available and add him to the practice squad or whatever. But even still, how long is Javon Holland going to be out? So over the next 24 hours, there's not really much you can do. All right. So continuing on here, but Tua, he will be back, it looks like, and we go from there. We ride, baby. I mean, what else can we say? We ride. Like, we need Tua to be on his game, man. We need Tua to be on his game because we need to make a little bit of a run. And when you look at when Tua returns, when you look at what the schedule is going to be looking like, man, it's going to be tough. First of all, he's going to return against Arizona, so we're going to have Murray versus Tua part 2. Remember how the first one ended a couple years ago where Kyler Murray wouldn't even shake his hand. But then you got the Bills right after that. Then you got the Rams. Then you got the Raiders game, which I'll be at November 17th. Then you got the Patriots again. Then you got the Packers. Then you got the Jets. Then you got the Texans, 49ers, Browns, Jets. Man, Tua's coming back for the tough stretch. And the problem is we didn't make up ground on this stretch we should have made up ground on. Seahawks and Titans are 2 games we probably would have and could have won with Tua out there. And we really should probably be sitting at about 4-1 right now. At worst, 3-2. So, and then and then the Colts with Tua, we'd win that game. But now, the Colts is a toss-up, right? Flacco's throwing for like 359 yards and a couple touchdowns this past weekend. Tua's coming back for the Cardinals, and we need him to show no rust right away because then the next week after that, we got to travel to Buffalo. So we got the toughest part of the schedule coming out right when he comes back. And you know what, Monroe? Wouldn't it be funny if we go through all these injuries and this rough start at the beginning and our season's reversed? Because technically, Monroe, that's what we've needed the last 2 years. We've needed our seasons to reverse. Instead of having the hot starts, we should have had a slow start and then have the hot finish. And if we had the hot finish, we would have been division champs last year, et cetera, et cetera. And we would have beat legitimate teams and that, and those teams' confidence would be through the roof. Hopefully this is the year. We're hoping that everything reverses. Please, God. Hopefully this is the year everything reverses for Dolphin fans. Here's praying. Here's 3 Hail Marys. Anyways, so let's get into it. We got a lot to go over. Let's go over the snap counts first and foremost. And then we will go ahead and get into the PFF grades, all right? So, snap counts, Austin Jackson and the offensive line, obviously 100% of the snaps. Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle saw almost identical snap counts yesterday. I'm going to be watching the All-22 tonight to chop it up, and I want to see, did we see a ton of them together? The All-22 will tell me everything. Raheem Mostert led the way with running backs, 44 snaps. Jaylen Wright had 25. See, 19 more snaps from Mostert when Wright's running the way he's running yesterday. Come on, brother. Malik Washington saw his most snaps since his return, saw 20. Odell Beckham was most definitely on a snap count. He only saw 11 snaps yesterday in his return. Berrios had more offensive snaps than he did. Jonnu Smith outsnapped by Julian Hill. That needs to change, and that needs to change real quickly because Julian Hill is an absolute liability right now. When you go to the defensive snap count for the Miami Dolphins, Marcus May, 100% of the snaps. Jordan Brooks is the best linebacker the Dolphins have right now. He saw 100% of the snaps. So did Jalen Ramsey. So, and then you had Sealer seeing about 82%. Fuller would have seen more, but he saw 92%. Remember, he had to miss some snaps because he got hurt. All right. Ogba, 75% of the snaps. Kohu saw about 77%. Javon Holland saw 73%. Chop Robinson with a big snap count yesterday, 67%. Look at that guy. Come on. Leaning into Chop a little bit. Tyus Bowser gets off the bus and he sees 33 right out the gate. Quentin Bell, one snap. All of the same people here pushing Tanner Connor in the offseason, pushing these Quentin Bell narratives. And where's this guy been? He's been a ghost. Ooh, thank God it's October. This is a perfect month for Quentin Bell and the Ghosts. Storm Duck saw 5 snaps yesterday. Benito Jones saw 18. But the big stuff here is look at Javon Holland. 73% of the snaps, even with his hand injury. And, hopefully he's okay. I mean, he probably would have seen 100% of the snaps if he didn't have that hand injury yesterday. He would have had 100 probably because he saw. I mean, look at how much he's seeing. But the other big story here is, Ogba and Chop Robinson being your dominant 1 and 2 pass rushers. And you got results. Right? here's the deal, right? Ogba and Chop Robinson, according to Next Gen Stats, they had 5 pressures apiece. Calais Campbell had 6. Chop Robinson forced a big third down incompletion too, so he's getting it. Now, he's still a liability against the run, don't get me wrong, but he's getting it. It's coming around for Chop. And like I said, we'll be giving away this Chop Robinson autograph on a live reaction stream when he gets his first sack. All right? We'll give that away to someone. And I pulled that myself, so I'm giving it away. All right. Continuing on here for your viewing pleasure, let's go ahead. Let's get into the PFF grades and what they tell us. And I agree, Mr. Cartoonster, ride that running back room when Tua returns even harder. I agree 110%. Keep running the football even when Tua's back. So getting into the PFF grades, here we go right here. Armstead comes back and he was strong yesterday, 88.2. Jaylen Wright was your number 2 graded PFF player. Jonnu Smith, number 3. Jonnu Smith had his best game as a Dolphin. Robert Jones didn't. From what I've seen, just from the brief overlook I gave of the All-22 before I start going in depth with it tonight, he didn't look like he was struggling over all that much. So 79.1%. Alec Ingold had a strong game, 77.4%. Austin Jackson had a 76.5%. When you go down here, Liam Eichenberg had a 40.6%. Who did they charge that sack to? Malik Washington, 46.6. OBJ, 11 snaps. Didn't have that good of a grade. When you look at the passing chart for Tyler Huntley on PFF, he was 0 for 4 on his deep shots. He was 7 for 9 on the intermediate level. And then he was 7 for 12 on the short level. And then he was a perfect 4 for 4 behind the line of scrimmage. When he was kept clean, he was 16 of 25. He threw his interception. He had a 64 completion percentage and 169 of his 194 yards. But they also had 2 drops. So his adjusted completion percentage jumps to about 78.3. His average depth of target was about 7.6 when he's kept clean. When he's under pressure, his average depth of target was about 20.5. But he was 2 for 6 under pressure for a 33.3 completion percentage and only 25 yards. So, and when you look at it, when you look at no play action, they ran basically 19 of 36 dropbacks were either a screen or a play action. Look, we only ran 2 screens yesterday. Hallelujah, huh? Growth, baby, growth. When you look at the blocking, they gave that sack to Liam Eichenberg. They did not give it to Austin Jackson. But Austin Jackson still took that brutal penalty that led to that botched snap. But anyways, they charged us with allowing 7 pressures, 5 hurries, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 sack, which was charged to Liam Eichenberg. So, I'm curious as to, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I remember it, Tyler Huntley had 3 sacks. So who are they charging the other 2 sacks to? Okay. Where are the other 2 sacks and who are you charging them to? On Huntley? I don't know. That's okay. Let me see if we can find the sacks. So on true pass sets, only 2 pressures allowed in true pass sets. But I don't know who they're charging the other 2 sacks to, but okay. Good for you, PFF. Defensively, Kirko, who was your highest graded player, I thought he would miss some tackles. Chop Robinson. Now, they only gave Chop Robinson 3 pressures. Next Gen Stats and ESPN have him at about 5. Emmanuel Ogba had 5 too, and Calais Campbell had 6. but PFF graded them differently. So Chop Robinson had a quarterback hit and 2 quarterback hurries. Calais Campbell had 2 hits and 2 hurries. Sealer had a sack, so did Ogba. Sealer also had 1 hit, 2 hurries. Ogba had 3 hurries. We had, look at this, 15 pressures. Only 2 sacks, though. We need to get those sack numbers up. But we had 15 pressures yesterday, which is good. Which is really good. In coverage, Marcus May was targeted 8 times, allowed 4 receptions for 25 yards and a first down, and he also had a pass breakup on Demario Douglas. Jalen Ramsey targeted 5 times, allowed 3 receptions for a total of 30 yards, a first down, but he had a pass breakup on Hunter Henry. Kader Kohu targeted 4 times, allowed 2 receptions for -2 yards, but he allowed a first down, and there was also a drop by Jalen Polk. Jordan Brooks targeted 3 times, allowed 3 receptions for 37 yards. He also allowed 2 first downs in coverage. Elijah Campbell, 2 targets, 1 reception against, -1 yards. Javon Holland targeted twice, allowed 1 reception for 18 yards to Demario Douglas, which was also for a first down. Storm Duck was targeted once. He was only out there for 5 reps, and he was targeted once, allowed 1 reception for 13 yards and a first down to Keyshawn Boite, the former LSU receiver. Ramondre Stevenson was targeted with Chop Robinson dropping into coverage. It was a reception for 6 yards. And then Quentin Bell, he was dropped into coverage. He did not allow Demario Douglas to make the play on the football. Anthony Walker, he was targeted once, allowed 1 reception for 13 yards to Demario Douglas. Kendall Fuller, he was targeted once, allowed 1 reception to Boite for 21 yards and a first down. So that is how we looked in coverage. Interested to see where those sacks went. I'm not going to lie. Very intrigued and want to know where those sacks went. For sure. Interesting. All right. When you look at the passing charts and what it all looks like, Jacoby Brissett, you know, like I said this, where was this Jacoby Brissett when he was a Miami Dolphin? Look, he's spreading the ball out. I mean, the guy was, you know, breaking tackles in the pocket or making throws while he was getting tackled in the pocket. I mean, he was 18 of 34. It's not like he tore the world up for 160 yards, and a lot of that yardage came in the fourth quarter when we were playing soft. But, I mean, Brissett even used his legs and ran for a first down yesterday. Like, what is that? But, hey, kudos. He was trying to spread the ball around. They also don't have very great weapons over there in New England. So, but the word on the street is after yesterday's performance, they are probably going to be going to Drake May. So Drake May could be starting very soon. Tyler Huntley, this is what Huntley looked like. He was 18 of 31 for 194, a minus 10.3 completion percentage over expected. Spreading the ball a little bit more. I'm guarantee he'd love to have that interception back. But, you know, didn't hit on those deep shots, obviously. But, you know, he's got to get that deep level accuracy and touch down. But right now, he was better. You know, last week he couldn't even break 100 yards. This week he almost broke 200. So, you know, other than that, good stuff. Let's continue to stack them days and get better though, Tyler, for sure. And when you look at like the next gen stats and everything regarding all the intricacies of the game, Tyler Huntley, his longest completed air distance, 28.9 yards. Jacoby Brissett was 39.4 yards. Jaylen Wright was the fastest ball carrier in the game, 20.58 miles per hour. Ramondre Stevenson reached 18 miles per hour. Zach Sealer, he had the fastest sack in the game along with Anthony Jennings, both at 2.9 seconds. Now, when you look at, this is where, you know, we always talk about this. Look at the passing chart compared to what we saw from PFF. It's again a little bit different, right? Now PFF had Huntley 0 for 4 on the deep levels. So does Next Gen Stats, but Next Gen Stats has the 0 for 4 to the right deep side. PFF had him 0 for 1 between the numbers and 0 for 3 to the outside right. When you look at the intermediate level, again, it's different, right? Next Gen Stats have him 1 for 2 to the left, 3 for 3 in the middle, 2 for 3 to the right. PFF had him 0 for 1 to the left, 6 for 6 to the middle, and 1 for 2 to the right. And remember, Next Gen Stats, they got like chips in the balls and stuff. The short level, Huntley 2 for 4 to the left, 5 to 8 in the middle, and 0 for 0 to the right, according to PFF. But on Next Gen Stats, they got him 2 for 5 short to the left, 6 for 8 to the middle, short, and 0 for 2 to the right, short. So again, PFF didn't even chart 2 short attempts. And then behind the line of scrimmage, Next Gen Stats has him 1 for 1 to the left and 3 for 3 to the right, while PFF had him 1 for 1 to the left, 1 for 1 to the middle, and 2 for 2 to the right. So again, discrepancies. You look at Raheem Mostert, 6 carries for 34 attempts off that right edge yesterday, and he's also finding success running between the A gap and the B gap to the right, 3 attempts for 25 yards. Look at Jaylen Wright, 4 attempts for 39 yards off that left edge, 5 attempts for 33 yards off that right edge. Jaylen Wright is getting there right now. Receiving, the average separation around the league is 2.96 yards. Hill was averaging about 3.8 yards per route run yesterday. Jonnu Smith, 3.6 yards. Jalen Waddle right above the league average at 2.98. Beckham below it at 0.88. And Smythe below it at 0.44. You had Demario Douglas crushing it at 3.71 yards in average separation per route ran. Boyd at 3.41 yards. Hunter Henry at 1.42. Polk at 2.02 and Hooper at 2.49, so all below it. And then the average separation from a quarterback for pass rush is about 4.57 yards. Campbell yesterday was 3.88. Zach Sealer was 3.89. Ogba was 4.2, and Chop Robinson 4.34 yards. So all four of our top front four were well below the league average. On the flip side, Wise was below it at 5.14. Keon White was well below it at 5.24. Godshell well below it at 5.24. So, I mean, good stuff, right? Good stuff. Here's the deal, guys and gals. I am going to be back tomorrow. We'll break down some film. I got a few things I want to talk about as well. Right now, we got well over 300 of you in the room. Please do me that favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 20K. Let's get there. Appreciate all of you that have come through. All of you that have donated tonight. Shout out to Debo, my guy. Penalties were all over the field yesterday, and that's another thing we want to see growth and to be cleaned up by McDaniel. And he's got to get this team more disciplined, all right? We get it. Everyone likes you. Everyone's buddies. That's all fun and dandy. But right now, our offensive line, our tight end group, they need the screws driven into them right now because they need to be better and more disciplined. You know, that's one talking point. Yes, we saw growth and the ability to adapt and adjust from Mike McDaniel yesterday by leaning on the run game. But we need to see the growth and adaptation from him in the discipline area. I mean, you saw Keon White yesterday. Keon White had a couple bad plays for the Patriots. What did they do? They benched him for a couple snaps. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to start sending messages. You're clearly not moving off of any of the staff, and you're not sending any messages that way. So start sending messages other way. Because this team right now, listen, we made mistakes yesterday, and we still got away with it. Usually a team that's that bad on special teams or taking penalties that are leading to bad special teams plays when you're converting field goals doesn't win the game, but we found a way to do it yesterday. So that means this team needs to be more disciplined moving forward. That's another area of growth McDaniel needs to show. Remember, Chop Robinson, when he gets his first sack, we will be giving away this Chop Robinson auto from Luminance, numbered 476 out of 700. So you just got to be here during the live reaction stream because it's coming for Chop. It is coming for sure. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe for new on the way out. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. You don't know what time it is. Until next time, go Fins, Fins up. And I will see y'all on the next one. Have a fantastic evening, everyone.